The dust has barely settled following Tesla's epic We Robot autonomy event, showing off the future of the company, some massive breakthroughs, and very long-range plans that are going to unlock multiple trillions of dollars in terms of opportunity. And as expected, a very mixed bag of reactions from investors and analysts, never mind the folks in the finance media, and obviously Tesla stock plunging nearly 9% today, which should surprise approximately 0 people watching unless you're new here. Historically speaking, in almost every major moment in Tesla history, there tends to be a lot of buying the rumor and selling the news. Now, I never make short-term predictions about what the stock will do, but I'm not at all surprised to see a major sell-off after this event. If you are new here, maybe do some homework and look at Tesla's previous major events. Model 3 Unveil, Cybertruck, their autonomy day, the Unveil of Optimus. Just go back in history and see how Tesla stock tends to react to these major events in the weeks leading up and then following. And as expected, many of the haters and the supposedly disappointed money managers out in full force today in the media. This one from CNBS. This was very disappointing for investors. And according to the folks at Yahoo Finance, Tesla Robotaxi event disappoints. Why this analyst was disappointed by Tesla's Robotaxi event. We're going to start with Dan Ives, who actually believes Tesla's the most undervalued AI company on the planet. Funnily enough, I happen to agree.
Shares of Tesla sinking today after its Robotaxi event underwhelmed investors. Several analyst notes calling it, quote, disappointing. My next guest says he disagrees.
Now, before we hear from Dan, CNBS intro there, many analysts with notes claiming this event was, wait for it, quote, disappointing. Wait, what's this on screen now? September 29th, 2022. Just over 2 years ago, some guy with 3 first names on X ahead of time made some predictions about how folks would react to Tesla's AI Day number 2. And the very first word, in quotation marks, from both media and analysts was disappointing. Oh, geez. How did that guy know that that would happen then? And why would it be the very first thing? I can answer that question. Most of the media and analysts focused on Tesla have extremely short time horizons, and while they might do okay on an IQ test, they're also simultaneously pretty dumb. If you can't see any further into the future than beyond your micro penis, it's difficult to fully grasp what you've seen at an event like Tesla's We Robot, in which they unveiled a dedicated robotaxi vehicle that enters production just over 12 months from now, a mass transit disrupting van with huge implications, intent to begin rolling out autonomous Model Ys and 3s in Texas and California next year. By the way, it's October this year, so it's a few months away before that could potentially happen. A massive transformation of the company. Big implications, never mind the progress on the Optimus humanoid robot, but you can almost guarantee many investors and many in the media, no matter what Tesla unveils in the future, especially if you need to look beyond 12 months into the future, will be, quote, disappointing. But there are some folks out there who seem to get it at least somewhat. Dan Ives may be among them.
Says the event was a, quote, glimpse of the future and the next generation transportation. Joining me now, Post 9's Wedbush's Dan Ives. So you say you left that event in which you were there in person more bullish on this story. How?
I mean, it's all about, now clearly details were obviously scarce, and that's partially why the stock's down. But in terms of Cybercab, in terms of what we saw, what's really going to be over the next, call it 18, 24 months, you look at Optimus, in terms of what I view as for robotics, where right now there's no value for Optimus in the story. And I think most importantly, in terms of the unsupervised FSD that's going to really be rolled out throughout all the Tesla models, at least California, Texas, into next year. And I think that's why, to me, I'm not talking in the next quarter or two that's moving the needle.
There we have it, see? Dan's almost low-key roasting many of his colleagues. He's just said he's not looking into the next quarter or two, but in fact, beyond that. And that's the entire point here. I think it's reasonable to say that the longer people's time perspective is, the further into the future they look, not just in regards to Tesla, but just in life in general, the more they tend to understand the opportunity within this company. But the shorter the time horizon, the less people get it. And the most extreme example of that, via analogy, are the day traders. The equivalent of a drug addict, a junkie, who spends their entire day just looking for their next fix, their next hit, e.g. making a quick profit, usually losing money though. The trader/junkie doesn't care what's happening next week, let alone next quarter, next year, or throughout the next decade or two. They care about right now. Those are the kind of folks who definitely will be disappointed by an event in which Tesla didn't go, oh, by the way, guys, we've miraculously actually completely solved autonomy despite the videos you could all watch of the vehicles and what the capabilities are. Not perfect yet, but pretty close. And so now immediately the Robotaxi fleet turns on. That being said, I would be quite curious to see how Dan Ives and the folks at Wedbush Securities model Tesla. How far out does their valuation model actually go?
But in terms of the next few years, I believe it's a game changer to the broader story.
You saw what might be, not what is. And there really is no real idea of when exactly this is actually going to hit the street. You want to take issue with that?
Well, I'd say first, and look, in terms of price per mile, I think the big focus was could they get under 50 cents? Musk talked about 20 cents per mile, potentially with taxes 30 to 40 cents. When you look at Cybercab, and clearly the two-person Cybercab, this is something where as this goes through the next 3 to 4 years, there's no reason this can't ultimately be 10, 15, 20% overall profits for Tesla as this all ramps up, just given what our view of the overall ride-sharing market and what they could gain, and it comes down to 1.5 billion miles driven.
So the stock had a significant move on anticipation of this event. The event, to many, underwhelmed. Therefore, not justifying the multiple that the stock has expanded to. That's JP Morgan's note today. They see substantial risk to multiple compression after the big rally into what they call...
I got to stop you. I was just thinking, my mind was kind of wandering. While I was listening, I'm just like, can you imagine what it's going to look like when we revisit this like 5, 10, 15, 20 years into the future? After Tesla's autonomy event, cybercabs everywhere, Tesla dominating, printing unfathomable amounts of money. The Robovans having massively disrupted public transportation, an Optimus humanoid robot completely changing life on Earth. Anyway, back to the video.
Call a underwhelming day.
I think we look back at last night, 3, 4 years from now, as a historical moment. And the reason I say that...
Because they held an event and showed you these...
Man, Scott is such a fucking asshat. Why so negative and bitter on this? He's like antagonistic toward Dan. Why? Oh, wait, I know. He works at CNBS. That's his job. Perhaps Scott suffers from small brain syndrome. Maybe he doesn't know this. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe the editor's in his ear just saying, hey, be a dick, Scott. Be more negative. But Tesla's unveiled a vehicle, an autonomous vehicle that enters production maybe 15, 18, at most 24 months from now. A dedicated Robotaxi. This vehicle would not exist if Tesla were not serious about this project. It's not an event. It's not just an event. The product's there. Brilliantly engineered. Well thought out products. Massive progress on autonomy. Tesla's going after, by the way, not just disrupting fares in taxis, Ubers, Lyfts and so on with the two-seater, but also public transportation. Again, the Robovan was probably the biggest bombshell of the event, although I predicted that was coming. But now we have detail on this thing, including potential price. This is going to be huge. Scott trying to diminish this to just an event. What was at the event, Scott? The products, the roadmap, that stuff has implications. Never mind Optimus. I'm just trolling, of course. Scott can't see more than 3 seconds into the future, so I can understand why he'd be a little bit negative on this event.
Prototypes?
Sure. I think it's more than prototypes, because ultimately I think the next leg of the story in terms of autonomous, I believe they will be a clear leader in broader autonomous. And I think it shows now, when you look at Cybercab, that's just one piece. I think the other reason the stock's down is Model 2, lower cost vehicle, they didn't show it. I think they're not going to show, we never expected they're going to show that at the event. I still believe that's the 2025 story. So I think broader, you look at, I think, demand stabilizing, just a robust China quarter. I think COGS is going to come down. You got Model 2 or 2.5 in 2025. And then when I look at the future, next 2 or 3 years, you look at Cybercab, you look at Optimus, you look at just some of the parts. I argue the AI story, it is the most undervalued AI name in the market.
I understand, but I'm trying to get my arms around how you're trying to value a stock.
Wait. I think I know where Scott's going here. I hope I'm wrong, but this will be really embarrassing if I'm not, because I can sometimes predict NPC thinking, which is really embarrassing for the NPCs. I think Scott is about to ask, you're trying to value something, a stock, opportunities in the future that aren't already currently real. Therefore, doesn't that require a brain and a pair of testicles, some courage to actually be willing to attempt to estimate the probability around timing, revenue, profits, scale? Doesn't that require thinking and analyzing the opportunity? Well, wait, you're an analyst. Oh, is that why you're called analyst? Doesn't that require some analysis, some courage, some foresight, and some vision into the future? Isn't that difficult and challenging? Isn't that scary? What if you're wrong? What if your prediction's off by a few months? Wouldn't it be much safer to just do absolutely nothing and wait until the opportunity is already commercialized and then start putting the numbers that already exist from the now commercialized opportunity into your spreadsheet after the fact? After all, the rules say that's the only way an analyst can actually analyze a company, right? You're not breaking the rules, are you, Dan? That would be a very brave thing to do. I think Scott is about to summarize and explain why most analysts and practically everyone in the media, by the way, most of CNBS in the past have been actively short Tesla stock. Many of them, I think, have learned their lesson. Why these folks continue to miss out on massive transformative opportunities. It's too scary to look into the future, to display a bit of courage and try to anticipate and model things out, weight them by probability. Much easier to just wait until after the fact as opposed to get ahead of it. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's where Scott's going with this question.
Around how you're trying to value a stock based on some level of identifiable fundamentals.
Sure.
Are you telling me that you came away from that event last night satisfied with the details that you got?
Yeah, and
because your colleagues at other places were not. Adam Jonas, that's it. Disappointing lack of detail. Tony Sacconaghi, stunningly absent in detail. Wells Fargo, little substance. Are you telling me that you were fulfilled in the detail that you learned?
No, we called out. Details are scarce. That was a negative, and it's a reason to stop. We want more details. But to me, with Musk and Tesla, in an event like that, you're maybe not going to get as many details right there as you'd want. But the reason we came out so positive, in terms of the test drives, and if you look at Cybercab, and you look now at production, and this is real. We're not talking prototype. 2026, they start to produce this. We go into next year, this starts to become more and more of a reality, and it all comes down to us, FSD. FSD penetration increases within Tesla. The story massively changes.
When do you need more details? When are you?
Yes, Paul Scott here is asking the question, when will Tesla provide us exact numbers to put into our spreadsheets? This is amazing stuff. Scott really just asking, why didn't Tesla do everyone's homework for them? But the critical details, the stuff that really matters, let's see here. Obviously, the fact that Tesla showed off their dedicated Robotaxi vehicle, the two-seater plus the Robovan, shows their intent. These aren't just one-off prototypes. They're production models, right? Close to finalized designs. This is a big deal. It shows seriousness, intent. This is not a Nikola Badger, okay? Now, what else did we learn? Timelines. Musk disclosed the production timeline for the Cybercab. What bigger detail could you possibly have than that? In addition, we also learned the first two localities that Tesla's Model Y and 3 will begin operating autonomously, and also a timeline estimating next year, California and Texas. That's massive, although also not surprising. Could have told you that. Extremely importantly, we also learned Tesla believes ultimately their cost per mile in the Cybercab 30 to 40 cents, all inclusive. That is a hugely important detail. And of that 30 to 40 cents per mile, Tesla estimating a base cost, not including taxes, etc., of about 20 cents per mile. I mean, this isn't a magic number Tesla pulled out of their ass. They've thought about this from a physics point of view, an efficiency point of view, the mass of the vehicle, how far it'll go per mile. They've thought about this in great detail and thrown a number out there, about 20 cents per mile, by the way. Let me just check. What are the estimates in my base case for Tesla's long-term cost per mile? Not including the taxes, of course, because that's not going to Tesla. Let me see here. Oh, what do you know? It flattens out at exactly 20 cents per mile. I'm not kidding, by the way. My Patreon subscribers can go fact check me right now. Pull up the base case. Steady decline up until 2031, where it hits 20 cents, and then stays in 2032 and 33 indefinitely. Must have been a lucky guess again, by the way. If you'd like access to the valuation model, join Patreon with the link in the pinned comment at the investor level and above. What a magic coincidence. Tesla and I landing on the same number for the long-term cost of their autonomous vehicles. Boy, oh boy, I'm sure good at guessing. Totally a fluke, though. It's not like I thought. Tried to probably go through the same process Tesla did to arrive at that point. Tesla also, importantly, disclosed how much the Cybercab will be available to purchase for consumers, who many of which will be operating a small fleet, or a flock, as Elon called them, like a shepherd, which was expectation below $30,000, meaning to produce it's obviously going to be even less than that. This is also a big deal, especially relative to to the costs of companies like Waymo to put their vehicles on roads, which is over $100,000. And we also learned the cost per mile expectation for the Robovan. But these are the most important possible details. The only thing missing was a production timeline on the Robovan. But that's obviously a much lower priority than the two-seater, the Cybercab. That's the only missing detail that I'd say, oh man, I really wished I had have disclosed that. But Scott's clearly missing, either through dim-wittedness or intentionally missing the big picture here. The fact that Tesla held this event and showed off 3 foundational products, the Cybercab, massive, Robovan, massive, and progress with the Optimus humanoid robot, which will dwarf everything else, including autonomy over the long term. There was even a massive bonus piece of information, which was that Tesla will overspec the AI computer in the Cybercabs so that over time, their fleet of Cybercab vehicles, which won't be used 24 hours a day, obviously, most people when they're asleep, there's a lot less demand for these vehicles, same amount of vehicles, but way less people going from point A to point B. When they're not being used, their fleet of vehicles, which Musk also mentioned could exceed 100 million vehicles over time, can be used to do AI as a service, e.g. the fleet of vehicles acting as distributed inference compute. A huge opportunity Amazon Web Services like. But none of that's manifesting next week or next quarter, therefore. Hey Dan, time perspective. That's the key lesson in today's video. Time perspective.
When do you sit back and you say, you know what, I've given the benefit of the doubt on this story, whereas many of the others who cover this stock have not?
Sure.
When do you want details?
Well, I think by later this year, early next year, you basically need to have some details on when the lower cost vehicle's coming out, what production looks like, what, in terms of Cybercab and overall FSD, what the rollout is going to look like throughout 2025. And most importantly, COGS, because the whole goal here is that Tesla's going to be able to decrease COGS significantly, especially with the next-gen platform. If that happens, then you get numbers into the next year or two. I think they're underestimated by 40, 50%. That's what we need to see. If we sit here 6 months from now and they didn't give us that, then at that point, you probably do have to reevaluate things. But I think they have a lot more coming than they ever have in the story.
I actually believe the biggest tell for how significant this event was in Tesla history is how furiously the haters are jerking themselves off in the comments everywhere on videos, on posts regarding this event. When the Model 3 was unveiled, the haters went absolutely off. It never happened, I'll go bankrupt, the competition's coming, just wait till BMW, Mercedes, Audi, blah, 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 etc. They'll never sell even clip. Right, haters went ballistic. Model 3 changed the game, then Model Y even bigger. The next big event, Cybertruck unveil, the same thing. The reactions to that, a vaporware, stock pump, won't exist, not a real truck, blah, 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 endless. And then today, the unhinged haters absolutely losing their minds, which I personally think is actually a low-key method for them to cope. Deep down, they know they've seen something massive and transformative. The biggest takeaway here is Tesla's seriousness around these projects, a company who historically have laid out extremely ambitious, borderline absurd, nigh impossible goals and achieved them, been mocked and ridiculed all the way along. These latest projects, Tesla is seriously pursuing at full speed. Autonomy itself is going to dwarf Tesla's entire existing business, and then the humanoid robot will dwarf that. What would have been disappointing is if this event didn't occur for many more years. If we didn't see the dedicated Robotaxi for years, where they're not the Robovan, if we didn't see that for years, and if Optimus humanoid robots still couldn't even walk, that would be disappointing. Now, I know most people watching this channel haven't been following Tesla since day one, but those that have, or even maybe just for the last decade, will notice this recurring theme. Tesla announces an extremely ambitious goal. Everyone laughs, doubts, hates. Tesla provides an update in the pursuit of that extremely ambitious goal, and everyone laughs, mocks, ridicules, and doubts. And then, a number of years later, Tesla achieves that goal, and everybody memory holds the fact that they were negative, bearish, doubting, and skeptical. History doesn't repeat, but it sure does rhyme. So here we are again. Dan in a semi-hostile discussion about this event, having Scott the arsehat come at him pretty aggressively. How can you possibly be happy? Just really in a demeaning tone. Desperately trying to frame this as a huge disappointment and negative. I mean, CNBS literally pre-prepared a bunch of funny, negative responses from the analysts on this very event. The whole point of this segment on CNBS was to attempt to mock Dan and Tesla bulls and ridicule Tesla the company for their ambitions. But as I said, if you've been following the Tesla story for many years, this is exactly what happens every single time. And then Tesla pulls off their ambitious goal and everybody pretends that they were never negative. I think the too long didn't read on all of these responses from Wall Street analysts was Tesla didn't tell us what numbers to stick in our spreadsheet, therefore we're disappointed. Oh, speaking of numbers in spreadsheets, Tesla confirming 2025 first robotaxis. Let me just check here. Oh, that's right. My base case, Tesla's robotaxis. First robotaxis deploy in the base case in 2025. Oh, wow. What a guess. Although, admittedly, that has changed over time. It was originally back in 2021. My first estimate was late 24. I think that's pretty unlikely now. Base case also nailed cents per mile over a long time. Literally the exact same figure Tesla put out there, 20 cents. I also have my own estimates for the Tesla bot, purchase price, first bot sales, and so on. Again, if you want to see that, join Patreon at the investor level and above with the link in the pinned comment. What I find amazing is that now that Tesla's given some of the Poindexters on Wall Street at least some numbers to put in their spreadsheet, they're still disappointed. Why do they all want Tesla to do their homework for them? Well, by the way, I actually know the answer because they're all a bunch of fucking pussies. They're scared of being wrong. They'd rather be wrong through omission, e.g., I just ignored autonomy until after it happened, and then suddenly Tesla surges, profits surge, and my price target's chasing the stock for the next 3 or 4 years running, than to be wrong by putting an estimate out there and being off by 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. After all, that is an eternity in the Wall Street world. And by the way, folks, if you want to have a little bit of fun, just scroll the comments on this video. Most of the haters will be done or they'll have already busted a nut. So they're not even watching anymore. But scroll through the comments on this video, whether you're watching it on X or on YouTube, and watch the ferocity of the haters today and in the next couple of days. They're jerking off ferociously. Oh my God, disappointed, bullshit, stock pump, never going to happen. No. That is always a strong indicator that Tesla's just announced, unveiled, or confirmed something massive. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients. Plus, has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, or I can keep going. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs.